parola quindi a Andrei Korstrom, Director Propulsion Concepts di Kongsberg. L'intervento sarà in inglese. Thank you very much. About design implications and propulsion choices for a vessel. The floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I think we're starting to be a bit stretched on time, so I'll try to wrap it up quickly. So principally representing Kongsberg, who sits with a basic actually in hydrodynamics. So primarily propulsion manufacturer, although during the last developments and last years we're definitely been pushing into system integration in a more wider perspective. Hence it becomes also a question of how does actually propulsion affect the whole system and how it's seen. So I thought the easiest way to address it would be to go through a fictive example. Now we've heard a lot of presentations about really high-end topics on development in the future and so forth. I think this is maybe a bit more back to basics on where we actually consume the energy. So I took as an example a fictive 70,000 gross tonnage Ro-Pax ferry, quite typical to what we see operating today, designed for a cruise speed of around 23.5 knots, and we have about 3,000 passengers, close to 4,000 meters of lane meters, so quite a typical ferry that we see today. So to look at different propulsion alternatives, at the moment the propulsion setting or the base case is basically with two traditional shaft lines through a gearbox, twin equal sized engines driving the system. And as a comparison, having a three propeller solution where we would have a single shaft line CPP, most likely to have a fully feathering functionality, and the propeller driven through a gearbox with the similar engine configuration, just to keep it simple. And then a father-son approach with the diesel, or not to specify a fuel, generators. So today we have a lot of different alternatives how to generate or utilize as fuels, but I think that in this presentation it doesn't actually matter. What we want to do is look at the actual performance of the vessel in itself. And a last solution, a pod alternative. So one of the starting points is how do they actually differ, the vessels? And this is a simplified Blick input on where the differences comes from hydrodynamic point of view. Try to utilize what's seen over the years in development and kind of generalizing roughly the influences. So we have the base case, mechanical shaft lines. We assume a roughly 4% mechanical losses in them. We have a hull and rotational efficiency of roughly 98%. The triple pod case is divided into a more or less 50-50 share between the two propulsion systems, so the wings and the center line. Hence, you get a bit of differences. So, in principle, the resistance for the shaft line is increased by roughly 2% by comparing to the reference case, and this is basically coming from a gondola in the center line to accommodate for a center shaft line. The 2.5% stands for the added resistance in lower speeds when the propeller is standing still or feathering. For the wing solution, we have a -6% estimation coming from removing the shaft lines and brackets from the standard base case, and hence improving the resistance performance in that respect. Mechanical losses, something. The electric losses, yes, the wings are presumed to be electric, so we will have a roughly 8% electrical losses in converting mechanical energy to electric. The hull efficiency and rotational efficiency ends up at roughly 98% also, and then something on the propellers. The twin pod solution basically utilizes the same numbers as for the wing side. So in short, that's the main differences. Now, we're not engine manufacturers, so I'm not going to go into details on what engine does what. I found on the net Imares's really good curves on rough estimations on consumption of different engines. In this case, the assumption is that all the engines are medium speed. So it's a function of load, which basically defines the consumption on them. So if I put this together and I look at the self-propulsion point of view, so first how much the propulsion actually requires power, we see that the curves will lie up quite nicely. The base case has a slightly higher consumption than the two other solutions. It's small, but it's a way to try to get into the picture. But on the other hand, if I lay in also the effect of the engines based on that Imares curve, we actually start to see that there is a bit of gap in the curves. And primarily, the key point here comes actually from the fact that with a choice of having basically a diesel electric, we have a choice of how many engines are running, more flexibility compared to a directly connected mechanical solutions. Yes, you have clutches which allows for something, but the sizes also with different size engines allows you to have a broader perspective where you get a better efficiency. So mainly where you see the implication is actually on the lower speeds, which quite naturally comes into play. So briefly looking at a layout. Now the background picture is just a RoPax I found on net, so don't pay attention to where the engines are located. It's more a question of the stern accommodation of the pods or azimuthing thrusters in this case. And hence we run into a problem actually with the pod solution. And this is one of the biggest challenges with the RoRo market, that there's a limitation on your key height, so there's a limitation on how much space you actually have in the stern. And currently what you see on the pod market, if we're talking about propulsion power up to around 20 megawatts per unit, the size of the installation starts to be so big that it's poking in through your cargo deck. So either reconfigure your layout, or then the pod manufacturers need to solve that issue. But that's a challenge at the moment. So putting this all together, now taking a fictive route somewhere of roughly 170 nautical miles, we want to do one back and forth route in 24 hours, ends up with actually a passage time of around 9 hours. There's, in the Mediterranean, you quickly come into deep sea, you don't have that far approaches. Okay, so we don't have that much benefit of slow speed per se. But where we actually end up in any case is that we have almost roughly a 10% saving in fuel consumption with the triple pod solution, slightly more with the triple propeller solution, slightly more with the twin pod. If we remove the harbor maneuvers, we actually see that those two figures lay up at the same number. Now, why this actually is a example of the reality is that if we look at the time, we realize that with this curve, where our transit speed is actually 19.5 knots, so 4 knots lower than the 23 knots the vessel was designed on. Hence, we actually come into a situation where the vessel is highly overpowered, and we end up running at really low powers on the main engines. Coming back to that curve, we actually see that we're in a situation where we're over-dimensioning the system from the start. And hence, the two other solutions where you have more flexibility brings in that then benefit by being a more flexible solution. Just to highlight that it's not a completely new idea to look at different solutions. This is one of the earliest developments and deliveries that we've had back from 2012, where the challenge was basically a short sea route, so quite limited on time where you can catch and so forth, and rough conditions that you need to handle with care. Another slightly newer is down in the Messina Strait, where again, one of the driver has been redundancy in the system. Right. So, thank you on my behalf.
Thank you very much.